Ladies and gentlemen, the journey for focus, clarity, and mental mastery is about to begin. Live from WSIC Studios on the shores of Lake Norman, the show that gives you the tools to think sharper, sleep deeper, manage stress, and unlock your full mental potential. This is Your Brain Matters. And now, with over 30 years of brain science, more than 70,000 brain analyses, bringing neuroscience to everyday life, here's your host, Dr. Tim Royer.
Hello out there, this is Dr. Royer. Welcome to the second episode of Your Brain Matters, hosted by me, Doc, and today my co-host is John Wierenga. Excited to have you with us today, John. Can you tell the audience who you are and why you're sitting here? Did I just find you out on the street someplace, or?
A couple years ago you did, yeah. I think you pulled me straight off the streets, just down the road, actually.
At the stoplight?
At the stoplight, yeah. So that was good. It was a cold night, so I really appreciated that. Thanks for having me. I'm John Wierenga. I am the co-founder and owner of Inner Armor with you.
Amen.
Let's go. We're going to talk about that more a little bit later.
Yes, that's in our third segment of today.
Third segment.
So we get to find out all about your inner armor.
It's awesome. So we've been on this journey for a while. My background and what I still do, what I've done before that has always been business, international business. So as you know, but for the people listening, was working at a company called Amway up in Michigan for about 7 years, working on strategic initiatives, anything from large IT rollouts to corporate acquisitions, so buying and selling companies, or on the finance side, and then went over to be a management consultant at Ernst & Young, EY. And then you tapped me on the shoulder around COVID time and said, hey, can you help me with something maybe on the side? And we started working on that, and here we are 5 years later.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Can't wait for us to unpack that journey later in the show. That is going to be fun. John and I have been on a great journey with Inner Armor. But before that, we got some punch list things we need to get through.
Yes,
about
housekeeping.
Yeah, with our audience so that they kind of know what's going on, I think first of all is, Doc, why here, why now? We haven't heard of Royer Neuroscience, Inner Armor, Dr. Royer, this guy with this scratchy voice, which is actually left over from a virus, but
has nothing to do with your Thanksgiving dinner.
No.
So
I'm totally good, but that does affect me a little bit. You might hear me have a coughing spell here and there, but why all of a sudden we're hearing about this guy? And Royer Neuroscience, Inner Armor. And the reason you're hearing about that now is we haven't always been here in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. John mentioned Amway, which is in Grand Rapids. That's where I lived for about 26 years with the growing family. We had 4 children while we lived there in Grand Rapids. I originally started there in 94 as the division chief for a large children's hospital. And back then in the early 90s, DeVos Children's Hospital was looking to add a behavioral component, which you need to have in every children's hospital. But at that point, they were just starting all the new departments. And I came on board as a young neuropsychologist and got to build a great division there at the children's hospital. We started with about 300 kids a year that we were seeing, and then got out to about 6,000 a year. Wow. It was pretty incredible. And it was on that journey that you'll learn more about what drove us into developing Royer Neuroscience and Inner Armor, but lived in Grand Rapids, raised the kids there. I have 4 kids, Joe, Kate, Elise, and Audrey. They will definitely come up in the show at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But when they all kind of got through school and married and everything, my wife and I, Amy, said, hey, let's get out of Michigan. Not that I don't like Michigan.
What's wrong with Michigan? It's Thanksgiving Day, so what was wrong with Michigan?
Well, yeah. I love Michigan and my friends there, but see, I was raised in Tampa.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then I spent a year in West Africa and then ended up in Ohio, and then up in Michigan, and just something. It was too much for me, John. It was too much.
The summers are terrible up there.
Oh, I like the summers. That's what everybody from Michigan says. The summers are great, but then you have 9 months of craziness.
Yes. That's
so
true.
we moved down here. I have one of my children who's a PA here in the area, and so we moved here to be with her. So we're here in Michigan. We're not in Michigan. Where are we?
Those days are done. We're here in Charlotte.
We're here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so we've started a practice here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got licensed here in North Carolina and went through all that process. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're in Birkdale, right?
Yes.
That's where we're at.
We have a Birkdale Point. We just opened November 1. Very exciting. Love to see some of our listeners there as you learn more about what we do for assessment, for training.
It's a great office. I've been. Great conference room and really good location.
Yeah, isn't it nice?
Yeah, it's really nice.
And then we do that little walk across the bridge there.
Yes. Yeah. You get some sandwiches.
Hey, you know what? We should do a shout out.
Let's do it.
To Eli.
Yeah.
Eli at Which.
Yes.
How about those sandwiches at Which?
Incredible.
They are insane.
There's no afternoon drop after you eat a sandwich there. It's just energy all afternoon.
It's incredible.
It's crazy. What he does with that, with 2 pieces of bread, it's incredible.
It's incredible. The guy's an artist.
Yeah. It's really good. They don't have that in Michigan.
No, not like that. No. Yeah, so the new office is great. Wonderful location. The reason that we kind of picked that spot is we've had this relationship with Joe Gibbs Racing. Can you tell the listeners before we go to the next segment a little bit about Joe Gibbs Racing, what we're doing there?
Yeah, we're doing some really incredible things at Joe Gibbs. We are today, or 2 weeks ago, we're pre-recording this, right? So, but 2 weeks ago, we had our 5th lecture there at Joe Gibbs, a Lunch and Learn Masterclass series where Doc has been talking all about the brain and the nervous system and performance, and it's been incredible. Really good conversations. These employees probably didn't know what was coming. I mean, they've gotten breathing assessments, sleep assessments, all these things that have happened, and they're loving it. It's been really special. So.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things they've learned about the autonomic nervous system, we're going to learn some about that today.
Yeah.
We were unpacking ADHD and all the misconceptions and ridiculous misdiagnosis that happened with ADHD.
Yeah.
We talked through IQ testing today.
Yeah.
All these things. It is truly a masterclass on the brain, and we feel that we are, experts on the brain.
Yeah.
And so it was great to be there. And then we started to develop some clients, did some lectures in the area. And so even though I live in Denver, we've said, let's have an office over in Birkdale because that seems where a lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we have a Reclaim Your Brain lecture, free lecture on December 16th at Verdict Ridge Country Club at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, December 16th, Verdict Ridge Country Club. Come RSVP. You can do that through going to doc@royerneuroscience.com. doc@royerneuroscience.com. Or if you text, you can text our main number, which is 616-314-22. You know what the last one?
No.
91.
91.
There we go. Checking.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I got that right.
I hope
If
so.
not, we'll fix it on the next one.
Yeah, Bill can help us with that.
There we go. Feels awesome.
Feels great.
Welcome back to Your Brain Matters. We're going to go into the science segment. I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page on that phone number I said for RSVP and for the lecture, Reclaim Your Brain, December 16, Verdict Ridge Country Club. That's 616-341-2299. 616-341-2299. If I said it wrong before, that's the correction. We're really glad to have you back at Your Brain Matters, where neuroscience meets everyday life, right? We have this thing, the brain, which is the most incredible thing in the entire universe, and you possess it. Even on your worst day, your brain is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So John's going to lead us through getting started here on the Science Corner.
Awesome. So Science Corner. So last time, we're picking up where we left off. So Doc and Amy talked about how you make energy, right? We talked all about the science of making energy and what that looks like, but it's not just enough to make it. Once you have something, we all know we have to manage it.
Yes.
So let's talk about the second part, managing that energy. What are ways, and what do you mean, Doc, when you say manage energy?
Yeah. So we're making this energy from these things that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
And we know that the biggest resource for this is oxygen.
Yes.
Which seems counterintuitive. You think food, water, but it's really oxygen. 85% of the energy is coming from oxygen. So we're making this for our whole body to use. But just to remind you from before, the energy we're making, 20% of that goes to the brain. So this guy right here, he's a major energy hog, okay?
Yeah.
So
selfish, really.
yeah, he is kind of selfish. He wants to run the show.
He's like this big, right? I mean, he's only a small part, and he's taking it all.
But what about my, quadriceps? They want some energy, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's interesting. He's only 3.5 pounds, but he consumes 20% of my energy, which is crazy. So think of when you guys are eating a plate of food, 20% of what you're eating is actually going to your brain. That's why it does matter what you eat, right?
Yeah. Nutrition, yeah.
So,
and Amy's going to talk about that. I
Oh my
can't wait
gosh.
for her to come on and talk about nutrition.
it's just incredible, right?
It's incredible. Yeah. Her knowledge is so, like she knows so much in that area. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun. I'll
It's going to be
definitely
really
watch that
fun.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. So we have to manage it.
Yes.
So we got this energy. It's kind of like in these battery packs that we've stored up, our mitochondria, that kind of stuff. And we have this energy, but how do we manage it? Like, how do we use it? We don't just use the same amount. It isn't a constant drip or flow.
Mm-hmm.
It actually changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
It changes based on what's going on around me. And so you have this really cool software system inside of you that's called your autonomic nervous system. You got that?
I've heard of that before.
I know you have.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has a couple different parts to it, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
It has 2 parts. John's an expert in this. He's just fooling you guys. It has 2 parts. It has the fast side of it, which is sympathetic, which is when the system uses a lot of energy. And then it has parasympathetic, and that's when the system is just using a little bit of energy. Can you give a couple examples of both of those?
Yes. So sympathetic, consuming a lot of energy. That's going to be an athletic event, or that's going to be some really intense focus or work that you're working on. It could be an intense conversation that you're having. Your brain is going into this faster mode. That's sympathetic. We work with a lot of athletes, and we talk all about, like, you need to get into sympathetic. That's when you're driving down the field. That's when you're hitting the ball. If there's any pickleball players out there, that's your nice return right at the net, right? That's what we're talking about there. That is a high, fast-moving part of the nervous system. Parasympathetic, opposite. That's the opposite end. It's more related to sleep, relaxation, calming. Just total opposite, where you're restoring energy. So one uses a lot of energy, and the other is going to restore that energy.
Yeah, so we like to talk about it on this continuum.
Yes.
Where you can have different levels of this, where it goes really, really fast or really, really slow. So when it's going fast, we refer to it as fight, flight, and fright.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard that before.
Yeah, or freeze. Sometimes people say freeze.
You're right. That's true. It's true. And then the other one, the parasympathetic, is rest, digest, renew.
Yeah.
And the time that we do this the most is in sleeping, which wait till we get to the talks on sleeping. Oh my goodness, that's going to be fun stuff.
That's going to be fun. They're not going to know what to do with all that.
It's great info.
Yeah.
I love it. We're experts in this. We do a lot of work with professional athletes, with collegiate athletes, and the number one thing is sleep, is getting their sleep, number one. And so that has a lot to do with the parasympathetic side of things. And so when you're having a problem with sleep, that's because the parasympathetic isn't doing what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And typically that's because the brain and body are stuck in the sympathetic side. So think of sympathetic as kind of like we have a line, and on the far right is sympathetic, and on the far left is parasympathetic.
Yeah.
Right? And what we need is a constant balancing of the parasympathetic and sympathetic.
Like a seesaw.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that pivot point, that fulcrum, is kind of going back and forth, okay? And what we don't want to have happen is that seesaw gets tilting too much. We refer to that as tilt, okay? So if I get my sympathetic running too much, then I'm tilting way to the right, and now it's very hard for me to slow things down and get to sleep. I lay there at night and process all kinds of things. I think about the what ifs.
Guilty.
What?
I
That's
do that
issue?
all yeah, it happens.
No.
Yeah, time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was just those two little kids.
Well, that doesn't help, but that's just part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is when you get the kids down, but then you're still awake, right?
Oh,
You're supposed
shoot.
to sleep when the kids are sleeping, but then the brain's still going.
Oh, that's got to be nuts. Because you're so exhausted, right?
Yeah, but then you don't know what to do, right? That sympathetic is just going and going and
Yeah.
going. And you're thinking, oh, I should just get up. I should just get up and start my day. No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, we should fix the underlying problem,
Yes.
which is that brain, instead of dropping into parasympathetic, it's stuck in sympathetic where it's going too fast.
Yeah.
We're going to learn all about this, that when it goes too fast, it activates a response in the brain where the hypothalamus gets activated, and then that releases a message to the pituitary gland, which then releases a message to your adrenal glands. That's called the HPA axis. When that gets overactivated, it pushes you into sympathetic, and you're now releasing adrenaline. Well, you're supposed to be working off of melatonin
Right.
to sleep, but you're stuck with all this cortisol and stress because the brain has induced that.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we have to figure out is, well, how does the brain know when to do sympathetic or do parasympathetic?
Mm-hmm.
Let's first just talk about the animal kingdom. So the animal kingdom primarily relies on 5 things that we possess. Those 5 things are the senses, right?
Yes.
And so a zebra sees a lion, it hears a lion, it smells a lion, it immediately goes into sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it runs. Once it gets away from the lion, which I actually, right?
We had
I
the
brought my
lion. Yeah.
I got my lion here.
Might be the mascot of the show.
Let's go.
It's not a panther.
No, it's a
And
lion.
it's not a Detroit lion.
No,
it's
it's
a
just a lion.
It's just a regular lion.
Right? Your brain matters. This might be our mascot. Okay, the lion. So
Okay.
the zebra sees the lion.
Yes.
It runs. It goes into sympathetic. Now, how did it do that? It used its 5 senses
Mm-hmm.
to get input in, and those 5 senses then said, we got to do something. So it activated the electrical current
Okay.
that then got it to able to release adrenaline and made every cell absorb a ton of sugar.
And that
Okay.
lion is going to fight, flee, or freeze.
Yes.
Basically, right? Yeah.
Yes. So the lion's causing all that to happen. The zebra is hauling the male, getting away. And if it survives the chase, what does it do? Well, it doesn't do like us, wondering, what if?
Yeah.
What if? What about what just happened?
Did
You
I
know-
do that thing? Did I not do that thing? Yeah.
Yes. How did I get in that? What it does is it goes down to the watering hole with its baby zebras, and it just goes into parasympathetic. It starts relaxing because its senses don't identify that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to learn a lot more about this. It doesn't sit there and wonder about, are my baby zebras getting into Harvard?
Yeah.
Is my 401, maybe they call it a Z, my 401Z instead of
I like that.
that.
We might have to trademark that.
Exactly. I like that. So is that where it's supposed to be? No, they move right back into parasympathetic and they can balance out. And that's because they're only depending on their 5 senses. Now, as a human, we're designed to do that, okay? But we have this big frontal lobe, the big frontal lobe that the zebra doesn't have. And that frontal lobe lets us be able to think into the future and into the past,
Mm-hmm.
all within seconds. So I can say, hey, tell me who your 3rd grade teacher was. Boom, okay? You can think of that. Tell me about an event that happened. Well, what can happen, that's great. That's how we invent new things. That's how we learn. That's why we're very sophisticated as humans,
Mm-hmm.
is the frontal lobe lets me go into the future, lets me go into the past, all within seconds. I'm not just in the moment like the zebra is.
Yeah.
The downside of that is I'm not just in the moment like the zebra is. So we work with a lot of NFL quarterbacks, and yesterday I was talking to one before the game. I talk to him every week before the game, and I said, You just got to be in the moment. And what did I mean? No more what ifs, no more what abouts. And so what can happen a lot of times is the what ifs and the what abouts send us into sympathetic when there's no lions around. So our kind of question as we leave this segment, I want you to think about, what are the lions in your mind? What are the lions that are causing your autonomic nervous system to get out of balance and go someplace that isn't even your reality?
Yeah.
It's some place in your mind. You're not getting chased by a lion, but yet your nervous system, you're anxious, you're stressed, you can't sleep, you've got chronic illness, chronic inflammation, and that starts in the brain where it all comes from.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's that's going to help people and say, I never feel present. I don't know. I'm right in front of myself, but I don't know what's going on. I'm not listening, things like that. That's what we're talking about here. There's something upstream that's happening in the brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great stuff, Doc. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. Managing energy. I love it.
Let's go. Okay, welcome back to Your Brain Matters. Dr. Royer here with John Wierenga, my business partner in Inner Armor, which we're going to learn all about. Reminder for the Verdict Ridge lecture on December 16th at 7 p.m. Free lecture. Go to the website, doc@royerneuroscience.com. You can go to that email, or royerneuroscience.com to RSVP. We would love to see you there and love to see you at our new location in Birkdale, which is awesome. So we got John here, and we're going to talk about Inner Armor. And this is probably one of the most exciting things that I've done in my career is work with John on this company. And so, John, can you kind of give us some history about, what are you laughing at? You think I'm not serious about that?
Keep going.
It's
Keep
true.
going.
I am serious. This is like one of the most exciting things.
Okay, keep going.
You know, when you can't reach me on the phone, that does not mean that I'm not interested.
All right,
I'm
all right.
very interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. I believe
true.
you.
It's
just
true.
quite a lead up.
It is a lead up. I'm telling you,
You've
this
had
thing.
a long career. I mean, not calling you old, but I'm
No,
just saying.
But this is really amazing.
It is amazing.
When you think of what we're talking about doing here,
Yeah.
it's incredible. So let's go, man. Let's talk about
let's
it.
do it. So, Inner Armor. What is Inner Armor? Why does it exist? And where did it come from? Like Doc
Yeah.
said, over his career, he's worked on a lot of exciting things. So, Doc reached out to me about 5 years ago and said, I have this idea to provide the services that I provide to at scale to really anybody, no matter what their social economic situation is, like wherever they're at, that they can access the training, the knowledge, the understanding of what he's been doing. And so that's what we started. That's the mission, is how can we help people achieve their goals, learn how to balance and regulate and manage their autonomic nervous system so they can perform at a high level.
Yeah, and some of the things that were concerning to me, I've been doing this for 32 years, is on the Royer Neuroscience side of things, the science, the technology is stellar. There's nothing better than this on the planet. What we're doing from a science standpoint, how we're making the brain stronger without meds. I mean, all the science is fantastic, but the deliverable is very difficult.
Yeah.
So a few things that come into play are technology, very cumbersome to do remote EEG, remote breathing, remote heart rate, remote vision. So it limits the scope of what Royer Neuroscience can do.
Yeah.
And then
the whole industry, honestly.
Yes, the whole industry cannot deliver this wonderful science because of that.
Yeah.
Because of the tech, and then the cost associated with that. And then another thing that comes into play is time. And those are kind of like our top three. I don't know if we actually listed them, but those are some three things that we've worked on. It's like, how do you make something that you could strengthen the autonomic nervous system, but do it in 8 minutes a day?
Yeah. And that's really the industry changing thought.
Yes.
Is because I took a step back. I didn't just say yes right away. I said, let me think about this. And I kind of looked into, okay, what is this industry? Biofeedback, neurofeedback, regulating the nervous system? What are we doing? And as Doc said, everything has been in a doctor's office with technology that was developed in the early 2000s. There's been no innovation, no change in the industry. It's really stagnant. You have a couple companies that have popped up over the years, but they're still they're not designed with the consumer in mind.
Yeah.
With the end person, with an athlete, with a third grader, with a business owner, entrepreneur. They have a different clinical kind of wiring. And what we're doing is really basic from an elementary, just human needs of the nervous system. But that was still, no one had figured that out.
Right.
And so that's what we started working on. Is like, how can we make this quick, easy, intuitive for people to understand, to practice? And that's been fueled a lot by the technology and the innovations that we made there.
Yeah, and that's where your business background, your experience with doing all these startups, I mean, you've seen like the latest and greatest over the years of what's the new technology. I remember back when the microbiome stuff hit the market, you were telling me stuff about this before I even knew it existed. And it was because you were working with a large company that was looking at all these different things.
Yeah.
And so your expertise at acquisition and understanding the landscape was huge for like, what do we need to build here? And so we had to build a better mousetrap.
Mm-hmm.
And you coming in with the software side of things, what we've done, to explain a little bit about what we're doing on the software.
Yeah, it's really simple. I think most users would be like, well, of course it should be this. It's an app on your phone, and it's a Bluetooth sensor that is reading your, physiological, neurological variables, right? Biometrics. But it's so much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And really the number of companies out there that even are taking the physiological variables and putting them to your phone through Bluetooth and then uploading to a secure cloud database, like no one is really doing that at scale.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. I mean, if you looked at it today, and we'll show you, I'm sure, on a later segment on the show, what the app looks like, but it's just uploading it to an app. It's very simple with the login, but it's unlocked the ability to train your nervous system anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere, anytime.
And you say anywhere in the world, you mean it.
Yes.
Because the software that John has developed for Inner Armor, he also has developed a side of it that helps us at Royer Neuroscience on EEG. And you're not going to believe this, but yesterday I was assessing somebody in a remote place in South Africa. Okay, it took the person to get there, the brother that kind of took some equipment there, it took him 24 hours from here to get to this place. And through a phone call, a Zoom call, I was literally watching the person's brainwaves in real time. I could tell when the guy bit down on his teeth. I could see it on the EEG. And then through what you have in Inner Armor with the power stuff that looks at the heart variability and what the vagus nerve is doing.
Yeah.
And then the vision work. And then on top of that, we have all the other things with skin conduction. These devices, how you've kind of worked them into the software is just absolutely elegant. It's amazing.
It's all trying to make something very complex, very easy and simple.
Yeah.
Because we're working with college athletes primarily. We are the number one breath training or breath work program in college athletics. Like, there's no one out there who's teaching more college athletes today how to do diaphragmatic breathing.
Yes.
And that's really our main target area that we're working through. We have some really cool programs that we're working with. One of our programs that's not in college athletics, but really started a long time ago with your relationship with the head coach there, is at the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inner Armor has a full-time staff person at the San Francisco 49ers. So this is pre-recorded. So I have no idea what's going to happen next Monday night against the Panthers.
That's true. Yeah.
I have an idea. No, but we have a full-time person. We've been out there for 7 years where we're training these systems, and it's gotten so much easier to be able to train these guys when they're in the hotel room on the road, or when they're in the off season and they're just using their iPhone to read their brainwave activity, to read their heart, to read their breathing. John, your development of this breathing belt. Okay, so when we're talking about breathing, we're not like, hey, take some yoga breaths. No. I'm talking about we have to read what the diaphragm's doing.
Yeah.
You cannot do that without the right technology. And John worked tirelessly to build this breathing belt that is our proprietary belt that we use, that works with the app, that lets us teach how to exactly move the stomach in a way that then dramatically affects the autonomic nervous system. It's just been amazing what Inner Armor has done.
We really, really subscribe to the saying, you can't manage what you don't measure.
Yeah.
And that is really important. Like anyone out there who's done breath work or meditation or things like that, those are all really good things. But the learning curve there, and we're all about learning in the brain. Right?
Yes, exactly.
The learning curve there is so steep. It takes forever to learn what it feels like when you actually are in a good meditative state and things like that. But actually the breath work, the biomechanics, is very simple if you have the right feedback and the right technology. And we have college athletes that within 10 minutes are learning these techniques because they're competitive, they're athletic, they're coordinated. And we can teach these. One of my favorite programs right now is the third grade school that we're working.
Yes, in California.
Yeah, the third grade. So the elementary class of third graders, we're teaching them all how to do diaphragmatic breathing. And it's incredible. It really is so fun to watch them, these third graders, learn this skill, which they'll have for life. And that's really the inner armor. That's what it comes back to, is you have the skill. Everyone has the skill within them that they can have for the rest of their life if they learn it and train it.
Yeah. Great work. We have so much more to do on this show to unpack Inner Armor because our ability to get the brain at its biggest potential comes from the work that we're doing at Inner Armor. So really looking forward to having you back on the show and us working together on this.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks, Doc. Most exciting thing you said you've done.
I'm telling you, most exciting. Well, I love it. When I look at the potential, it's huge.
It's huge. We're going to make it happen.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Your Brain Matters. And you know what? It does matter. It's the most important asset that you possess is your brain. And it's the most wondrous thing in the entire universe. It's great to have John Wierenga with me, who we will see all the time on this show. But we're going to go into our next section, and let's workshop a couple names for this, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be a case study that we unpack a little bit.
Okay.
So,
these are some ideas you came up with.
No, this is ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just checking.
8 minutes to a better brain.
All right.
The Cortex case files.
Oh, mysterious.
Case files from the clinic. Real brains, real results. One brain, one story. Reclaim your brain, case edition.
What was the one about Cortex?
I know. I thought that was kind of cool.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Cortex case files.
Cortex case files. I think we could play with that.
Let's run with it a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. You said we're going to the cortex. Back to the cortex.
Back to the cortex. I like it.
Okay, cortex case file. So this is the first. Is this the first or second case file? This is the second case file.
Yeah, so we're pre-recording.
Yes.
We're doing the live one with Amy. So we'll bring it up and I'll mention that it's going to be so confusing. I feel like I'm in some type of show, like movie where the guy's like bouncing back and forth between time travel or something.
The Cortex? No, Matrix. Oh.
He's something.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's the Matrix.
So let's talk about our Cortex case file. So John and I got contacted about a professional athlete. Mm-hmm. We do tons of testing for executives, college athletes,
professional
athletes, kids with learning problems, all kinds of things. But this was a case where a professional team reached out to us.
Yeah.
And they have this athlete, this female athlete,
mm-hmm.
okay?
Up and coming.
Yeah. And they had identified a few months ago that she reported that she had some attention issues. So we're going to learn a lot about misdiagnosis of ADHD, but they were concerned that, this is somebody we've invested a lot of money in.
Yeah.
And are we going to introduce a stimulant to this person, Adderall, Concerta, Vyvanse, whatever? Or we want to make sure what's going on first, which I thought was very, insightful on their part. It's not just to jump to it because the person answered 6 questions out of 7 that they had an attention issue.
Yeah.
And so they reached out and said, hey, will you guys explore this?
Mm-hmm.
And so we went ahead and we went through the testing, and you worked on some of the testing. Can you describe a little bit of some of the testing, John?
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive assessment or test. We're looking at not only downstream behaviors and things like you would typically see with like some questionnaires that she had to fill out, but then also there was some we'd say neuropsych testing that she had to do. And Doc's been doing neuropsych testing for
32 years.
32 years, so he really knows it. It's funny watching Doc do a neuropsych because he'll some questions he already knows, or he'll answer them, not answer them, but he'll say, hey, start here because we know this person and that person. So it's very thorough and comprehensive. So we had her do this. There's some block design, there's some matrix reasoning, there's some symbols, some matching, some visual processing, assessment things. It's about 2 hours that she did of all this stuff. And then we looked at the normal stuff, the brain, the breathing, really looking at the nervous system like Doc's talked about. So that's what it was,
So the main thing that you got to do here is so many people, they just answer a few questions. Like they go in the doctor's office, answer a few questions, and they're out the door with the diagnosis.
Fill out this survey, 10 questions.
Yeah. But we're talking about the brain. We're talking about, remember this guy, the most important thing in the universe? And before I throw a chemical in here, I need to figure out what's going on. So there's so many layers that need to happen to an assessment. Mm-hmm. And so the reason we introduced the neuropsych is we need to figure out her intellectual horsepower. Yeah. Right? We found out she was about $125, 125, which is about the 90th percentile in intellectual functioning. So this is one smart cookie. Yeah. Right?
Definitely.
Really, really smart. Just did a little academic screen, make sure, it was fine. No problems academically. But then we did some attention testing where you do a computerized based of attention. Yeah. And when we did that, she completely bombed. You don't want to be any more than 21 points away. And she scored in like the 70s in visual attention, auditory attention. Yeah. I was like, wow, she does have an attention issue. So under normal circumstances, you'd say, oh, okay, that's it. Mm-hmm. But there was just a couple other things that came out. So you remember you did the processing speed stuff with her? Yeah. Didn't do very well on that. It's like, this person's like almost, gifted, and they cannot get through some of the processing speed. So we assess some of the ocular motor functioning, which again, you're going to learn about we're going to have Dr. Gamich on the show sometime. That'll be Paul's really great. Cool.
That's really fun. That's awesome. Really fun. He's going to love it too. Oh, you got to get him down here.
Ocular motor specialist. This guy is awesome. He's assessed some of the top athletes in the world. Yeah. And it's really cool to watch him unpack what's going on visually. Because so many times these disorders, ADHD, learning problems, are really rooted in a visual problem. So we looked at that, but he was okay, or she was okay on that. Mm-hmm. And so then we went to 2 last sections. We looked at, John has created this scale, the Inner Armor scale. It's some work building off of something that I've done in the past, but it's an online scale that we can send you, and in 4 minutes, it rates goes through these 50 questions. It's really, really cool. And all of a sudden we saw these anxiety scales go through the roof. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, there was the attention ones, but what's this guy? What's going on here, right? Yeah. So started to say, okay, now it's time to look at the brain. Isn't that kind of innovative? Before I make a brain diagnosis, how about if I look at your brain? And I want to challenge our listeners. If you're out there and you've been diagnosed with something like anxiety, depression, ADHD, learning problems, head injury, sleep disorder. I mean, the list goes on and on. Neurodegenerative problems like Alzheimer's, those kind of things. Has anybody looked at your brain? Have they measured your brain? Probably not. We measured her brain, and you're going to learn a lot about this on this show, but there's a certain set of brain waves that are called high beta waves, and they're directly connected to the brain being in sympathetic, like we talked about. So lion. It picks up the lion. Yeah. So your brain shouldn't be producing a lot of these high beta numbers, and her brain was producing 3 times more the volume. This wasn't ADHD. Actually, if you put her on a stimulant, you would screw up her sleep. You would take the sympathetic in overdrive. She'd have all kinds of problems.
Those high betas would go higher.
Higher, right? Yeah, because of the stimulant. Yeah. So we unpacked that and realized the place to address this person's concerns is really at the anxiety level. Now, we clean all that up. We get the high beta fixed. We see if the attention numbers come back. If they're not, then we explore a little bit further. But this Cortex case study, is that what we call it?
I think so. That's what we're going with.
shows us the importance, super importance of going upstream, looking at the brain and understanding the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetic response and how that can kind of hide itself in so many ways. Yes, she was displaying behavioral problems that were attention issues, but not ADHD. So we have to get deeper. We have to go upstream and understand. And this is just a great example. We're going to share more of these as we go.
Yeah.
As we have just a couple minutes left, we're going to go into our 2-minute drill. Yes, here we go. Your Brain Matters, our 2-minute drill. And so what we're going to try to do at the end is give you over our last 2 minutes, is some things that you can work on your own time. Of course, we'd love to see you at the Birkdale office, or we can send equipment to your house and do a assessment with you. But in the meantime, hey, Doc, what can I do today? So John's going to lead us in our 2-minute drill and give our listeners what's one thing that people can work on and try to start that today.
So Doc talks all about energy. And if you remember, if you listened to the show or Dr. Royer's lectures before, 85% of your energy comes from oxygen. And so we want to teach you today in this 2-minute drill, how do I breathe in a way to get the most oxygen? How do I breathe in the most efficient, the most physiological, efficient way? And that's called diaphragmatic breathing, okay? So I'm leaning back here a bit. I'm going to engage my diaphragm, which is the muscle right here. And we're going to do this thing, and we brought our diagram for our diaphragm. Okay? So this here is a model of your lungs, and this balloon here is the diaphragm. And what happens is that diaphragm, when it's engaged, it actually moves down and creates a negative pressure, creates a vacuum here. And it helps these lungs, these are obviously the 2 lungs that you have, inflate fully and bring in a ton of oxygen. And Doc, why do we want to create all of this oxygen and have all these lungs completely fill up?
Yeah, and so for our listeners who can't see the model, what John has is this model where there's this almost like balloon underneath, and as he pulls the balloon down, inside are 2 smaller balloons which represent the lungs. And what's amazing is that huge muscle, the diaphragm, as it drops, it creates a negative pressure that causes those 2 balloons. And if you could see it, they open wide. They open way wider than if I was just going to compress my chest. And so the whole reason we need to move our belly is to create that diaphragm to go down. So as we push our belly out, the diaphragm goes down, and we open the lungs through more of a negative pressure versus a compression of the ribs, which don't have a lot of space. And doing that, what we're going to recommend is that first, you just sit in a chair, put your hand on the stomach, and we want you to push the stomach out 4 seconds. That drops the diaphragm. Hold it, and then pull it back in for 5 seconds and hold it, making a total breath of 11 seconds. We'd like you to try that for 3 minutes, and we'd like you to do that every single day. And we'll talk more about how this affects the heart and the autonomic nervous system in upcoming episodes. It's been great having you on today. And remember, your brain matters.